brand new LMC fuel gauge, or sending unit, excuse me, is crap, so I get to completely redo that. But this is Aubrey's 1979 K20. Basically left for dead. You can see we've got the dome lights working. A little bit of patchwork on the floor. It sounds good. The motor only has like 10,000 miles on it. Excuse the mess here. There's the hood. We'll wait to put that on last. Polished up a little bit. These colors are obviously different. This truck's been painted before, but if you look, there's the original color. This is some red I had left over from a 78 GMC. In 77, they started this color. See, that's a 79. So this is what it should be. Excuse me, this is what it should be. This is what it got painted. But eventually she'll redo it completely. But it sounds good. I've got a hose that doesn't want to steal, so I got to figure that out. Left for dead, now driving. This door is giving me fits to adjust because there wasn't much left of the cab. And unfortunately it got into the fender a little bit, but it's not a beauty queen, but it's a nice, make a nice little driver for them. I got to put the vinyl mat in it. You can see it over there. It's been on the heater warming up. Get the seat bolts put back in it. Carries 60 pounds of pressure. But show you guys here and gals. So I'm emulating the pinstripe, and I've got the silver on this side, but nobody in town has any half-inch black. Crazy. So unfortunately I had to order on Amazon. Not unfortunately, but you know, I like to try to shop local if I can, and finish that out, go over it. This thing will be, I was hoping to have it done this weekend, but there's just some things that just kick my butt on it. You know, when you're going so good, you got things going so good, and then all of a sudden you take 4 steps back, and that's what happened with this. I've still got to wire up the 700 R4, wire up the choke. It started up, that was a cold start that I did. It started up good because it's 65 degrees in here. Figure out that little leak there. Put my wheel liner in. And these were the running boards that were on it. Those were missing, but we found them in the bed under some bunch of trash. So trying to make it like she remembers it. I have almost 200 hours in this truck. People don't realize the little intricates. You know, a lot of people think they're just going to take one and bring it back. And in order to make it how I feel it should be, you're going to have to spend a little bit more time and money and make it worth your while, in my opinion. There was no rocker left. There was no support left. No floor. So I didn't weld anything in because it actually needs a cab. And there was really nothing to weld to. So I just jacked it up, got it to where it was level, spaced it out correctly, and then just screwed it. And I'll foam and undercoat all of that. And then eventually, maybe try to find him a cab and a bed. I mean, this one could probably be fixed, but the amount of labor and everything you'd have in it As you just better just find a rust-free cab. You can see it's got a little bit there. But this being a Scottsdale, you can see this would have had a factory black spear, you know, along it. And you can kind of see, I don't know if the camera picks it up, this dark spot. And you can see this little bit of rust right here. Well, that's where your spear was, and that's where the glue was. So whoever did this truck, it was either starting to rust and they didn't grind it out and fix it, or that adhesive had gotten into the underneath the paint. You can still kind of see, I don't know if you can see those bubbles right there. So, but doors open and shut. There's no weather strips in them, but open and shut good. You can see I got my gaps good. For LMC fenders, they really went together pretty good. This left one, like I said, is giving me fits, and it got into the fender and whatnot. And if this was a complete restoration, I would be beside myself. But this one, yeah, you don't want to mess fresh paint up, but at the same time, this door, they had this door spaced in or shimmed out anyway. Somebody did. So I don't know if this thing was wrecked at one time. But this door, I just could not get, no matter what I did. Even if I brought my fender, and your fenders can't go, you know, they can only go so far forward before they start, you know, messing with this here. And my fenders are right on. So I'm sure having a lot of that support and stuff didn't help, but I've got all that right, you know. I'm not a body guy by any means, but, you know, trial and error and making sure your gaps and everything good. And the gaps in this are good. This door just at the bottom, like I said, they had it shimmed. And so I'm wondering if something in this truck's life, you know, happened where this thing just isn't right. And I could have taken the door back off and probably taken the shims, or excuse me, the hinges, and moved them. But I got the door back on there. The door was off of there with the fender off, and I really don't want to take the door off with the fender on for fear of banging into it any more than it's already kind of done. But when she eventually redoes it, you know, that'll repair very easily. And the paint on it, it looks shiny, but it's just a quick, this is just paint I had left over. It's just a quick single stage that, anyway. But yeah, let's see. It's a 700 R4 with a 208. So anybody that's ever done these, they're pretty simple. It's just a little time consuming because you got to waller out, or excuse me, you got to cut your hole just a little bit bigger right here. And then of course, put your plate up under there because your shifter's in a different location on a 208 than a 203 and a 205. And, but it's all secured. 4-wheel drive light comes on when you put it in 4-wheel drive like it should. And these 80 and earliers with the 203, 205s didn't have a light like the 208s do in the housing. And so I will run a light for her up to her interior lights, and then that way it's also lit up. It won't take that long. But yeah, got the dash set back in there. Unfortunately, I had to redo that cluster again because my fuel gauge issue, which is a sending unit, brand new tank, lines, hoses, sending unit, and I never checked it, didn't think I needed to. I've never had an issue in the past, and here we are with a brand new sending unit's bad, so LMC is sending me another one. However, back to my point is, with checking everything, something happened in the circuit board on the cluster, so I had to put a different circuit board in it. So basically I had to take all that apart and put it all back together. But it's done. It's over with. But this thing needed a new headlight switch, a new wiper switch, a new neutral safety switch, a new stoplight switch. These wing windows were broke. and I think it had allowed water over the years, and the switches were just bad. So, but now it fires up. Sounds good. This came out of a Suburban where the drivetrain had been restored, or excuse me, reconditioned, transmission, transfer case, engine, like 10,000 miles ago. So that engine was orange. It's now blue, like it should be. This firewall had a little bit of rust in it, so I just kind of filled it, and then that's just undercoating. Rebuilt the heater box, and that's a updated blower motor out of like a 88 and up truck. But heat blows nice and hot. Haven't taken it out of the shop yet to take it on a test drive because I want to get that little thing fixed that's leaking. I don't know if that's my hose. I hope it's not the radiator. That's a big 4-core that I had gone through. They said it held pressure, so it shouldn't be that. I want to wire the transmission up for the lockup converter to make sure that's good. Need to bleed the brakes yet. They are kind of bled. I had my boy help me, but I want to go through them again and make sure that they're good. But it'll be a good Christmas present for Russ and Aubrey and their kids. So, and then it'll be a good one that they can learn on and tinker with. But this drivetrain, if you remember, if you followed my videos, it came out of an 85 Suburban. Well, it had brand new exhaust on it. And so that's the exhaust that was on it, on that Suburban. And lengthwise, it fit perfect. But I had to do a little modification on some brackets, hangers, stuff like that. And then that drive shaft is actually out of the Suburban, because this had a 2-piece in it. So, actually, no, it didn't. I'm sorry. It did not have a 2-piece in it. It had the different yoke in the front. So I had new U-joints put in it, had it trued out, make sure it was good. And then, of course, we put brakes on that side. We did not put brakes on this side. They were fine. Just trying to save a little bit of money where we could. We did have to put all brake lines from front to back. And for people asking, LMC does not offer brake lines for a 3/4 ton 4-wheel drive. You got to go to inline tube and get these. And on our big restorations, like the Spirit of 76, we use stainless. They just look better. Not that these don't look bad by any means, but they won't start rusting and stuff like that. As far as surface rust, that's what I meant. But put shocks on the front while we had the front end off is because the other ones were completely blown out. And then, which these are just some cheap shocks, which will work. Calipers, hoses, brake lines, and fuel lines were completely rusted out. Fuel lines are off of a 84 Chevy. And then it's got just for people that are wondering, it's got a 2-line pump with a 3-line sending unit. And then I just ran a vent and put it on the frame rail for the fuel tank. So anyway, it's a lot of work, but it's not really a lot of work. It's just very time consuming, you know, especially when you try to take your time and make stuff look good and whatnot. This is out of a 79 because it didn't have a front clip on it. And but it still shows 350, shows 79. So that way it's kind of correct. This truck was originally a 350 400 transmission 203 truck from 1979. That's the original bumper, cleaned up nice. That grill is out of the same 79 as this, and those bezels are too. This one's a little bit pitted, but what do you do? I had a set of brand new aftermarket ones that somebody had given me, so I was like, well, I'll just pass it on. But they fit like a saddle on a sow, and they would not line up any which way. They were gapped out. They just looked horrible. So I threw them back in the inventory room, and we went with that. So, and let's see. But thanks for sticking with me. I didn't really plan on making a long video, but since I am, we'll go around it. That's our original seat. That is actually the seat cover that was on it. I had washed that about a couple months ago, and we'll get that put on and put in there. There's my fender liner. I got to stick in still. That hood is not rusted or bent, but it does have its dents and dings and whatnot. But that'll go with the theme of the truck, I suppose. And then this, I should have taken this out a month ago and laid it flat, but I didn't. I just now took it out of the box here this week. And of course, it was a little difficult to get undone, but that's okay. We'll deal with it. But yeah, Russ and Aubrey, your truck's almost ready. Sounds good. Looks pretty good. But thanks for following along. Happy Saturday. Didn't really expect, like I said, to make a long video. I was just going to make a little short video, but I haven't done a YouTube video in a while, so here we are. The Spirit of 76, if you've stayed this far along, the Spirit of 76 will be back about the middle of January. Body guys should be all finished with it, so I can get it finished putting it back together and get it to Steve, and he can enjoy it looking at it over the winter, and then we can start taking it to some truck shows. We do have 4 or 5 truck shows planned to take it to, so everybody can see the awesomeness of that truck. This Blazer I got to put together for a buddy. He's doing the frame stuff for the 72 short bed that we're putting the LS in. This is a 400 truck, so it has the factory 400 in it, 79. But this is a pretty nice Blazer. It's got, you know, tiny little bit of rust there, and then the hood's got some hail damage on it. But I've got to put it all together, and we'll get that done. Probably as soon as this is done, it'll go here and this will go here. But and then we've got some more coming in next year, next month. Some good stuff coming down the pipeline. I've got some trucks I still got to go get, so we can either pass them on to people that want a project or part them out. Still need to part out that 76 right there, which we've sold some parts off of, but the weather's been turning crappy, and I've really been concentrating on this thing right here. So, all right. Well, happy Saturday. Sorry, I just keep droning on, but it's been a while. We will see you on the next one. Thanks for following along. Please like, share, subscribe, and have a great weekend.